Yo, what up guys? So I recently just watched the new film Nope from director Jordan Peele. And to be honest with y'all, I do struggle a little bit to fully form my opinion on this movie. So on the technical side of things, I would say that this movie is basically perfect. Simply put, everything is just hitting on all cylinders. The cinematography by Hoyte van Hoytema is quite frankly breathtaking, and I think it is a strong contender for best cinematography at the Oscars next year. I mean, I'm not sure a lot of people have mentioned this, but this is something I was thinking about while watching the movie. As a dark-skinned black man myself, I really appreciated how he was able to make Daniel Kaluuya look so good in the night scenes. For a very long time, a lot of photographers and cinematographers have always either struggled or neglected making black people look good. They would usually use the same settings for their cameras that they use on white people, and that always would not work out. Because of the different skin tones and shades, you would need to do adjustments to make it look as good as it would on a white person. What I find absolutely crazy about what Hoytema was able to pull off in this movie is that the setting, the ranch in the middle of nowhere, has no natural light except for the moon, and somehow he's able to make those night scenes at the ranch look very much pitch black, middle of the night, 3 a.m. looking, but still making it very clear enough for the audience that we can still clearly identify the elements of the scene, such as the character of Daniel Kaluuya, the horses, the ranch, etc., and even some of the mountains in the background. The fact that Hoytema was able to pull off all of this all while filming on an IMAX film camera, I think is a feat in and out of itself. And I think that as of right now, in 2022, he's definitely the front runner for best cinematography at the Oscars. And as for the cast of the film, what more can I say about them? Everybody just kills it in their roles. Daniel Kaluuya's character OJ does not talk very much in the film, and he keeps to himself for the most part, at least within the first half of the movie before shit starts going down. But Daniel Kaluuya is still able to give us, the audience, insight into what the character is feeling at the moment just by his body language. It was a very subtle performance, and I think he did a great job in it. Keke Palmer was also really good and quite entertaining as M. She really provided the vast majority of the comic relief in the film, but I never felt that the comedy was out of place or forced. It always felt like it fit right in line with her character. Steven Yeun was pretty good in the movie, but he wasn't in it that much. And because of his brief appearance in the story, I don't actually think he had that much impact on the movie. I feel like if you took him out of the movie, it probably would have ended up at the same place. I was also surprised at the amount of screen time that they gave to Michael Wincott. He plays a gruntled old cinematographer from Hollywood. I thought that Michael Wincott gave a pretty good performance as the cinematographer. He's kind of a weirdo and he's way too deep into his craft, and that makes for some unexpectedly comedic scenes when he clashes with the main cast. One actor that I did not expect to be in this film as much as he was Brandon Perea. He plays the character of Angel Torres, who works in the town's electronics store, and after Keke Palmer, he definitely provides the most amount of comic relief, but that mostly comes from his character getting clowned by Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer's characters. But nonetheless, he was in it more than Steven Yeun, which kind of shocked me, but he was pretty good in the film, so that didn't really bother me when it was all said and done, and he had a more crucial role to play than Steven Yeun when it came to the development of the story. Now, speaking of the story, that's actually where most of my cons reside, so if you haven't seen Nope yet and you just want to see how I rank this movie, then just skip ahead to this time code. Otherwise, stick around to hear my thoughts on the story and some of my issues with it. Now, I kind of knew that this movie was about aliens, just hadn't seen the trailer, but I was expecting some sort of alien ship, not the ship to actually be the alien itself. I found that to be a pretty interesting twist, and it provided for some pretty gruesome scenes when the alien was digesting the people and horses and shitting them out. Now, just to let you guys know, I'm not the biggest horror movie fan. I feel like movies set in that genre often fall flat and rely too much on the jump scare. But this movie does it right. I mean, the tension in this movie, the way Jordan Peele is able to build that up, quite frankly, it's brilliant. It's the best I've seen from any horror movie since probably The Conjuring. And unlike many horror films, the jump scares actually make sense in the context of the story and are not just thrown in there. One of the best examples of this is when the alien called Jean Jacket is just chilling above Daniel Kaluuya while he's waiting in his car, trying not to be eaten by the alien. Jean Jacket just drops a giant horse statue that it ate earlier in the movie right on Daniel Kaluuya's car, and that impact just shook my whole theater. I will say though, the overall plot of this movie I thought to be somewhat anticlimactic. The plot basically revolves around M and OJ trying to take a clear picture of the alien as proof that it exists, and the climax of the movie does end with M being able to snap a picture of the alien. But that ending, at least to me, presents quite a few plot holes and redundancies. One of the things that I was wondering throughout the whole movie is why would anyone believe M and OJ's snapshot of the alien? Just like in real life, I'm certain that there are millions of images that are so-called real images of the alien in the movie. Now, in the movie, it is mentioned that the characters are looking for the highest possible quality snapshot of the alien. I mean, that's why they hired an IMAX cinematographer to help them capture the alien in action. But even then, I feel like once the general public sees that image, they will not be able to distinguish that image versus the million other images that they've seen on Google or whatever. Like, this objective would have been more plausible if it was a period piece set in the 60s or 70s. But this movie clearly is showing that it's set in modern day in 2022. And in this age of technology that we're currently living in, an age where 14-year-olds can create photoshops more realistic than whatever the US military can create, I just don't understand why OJ and M believe that their image or video of the alien would not just be tossed aside as another Photoshop fake. I feel like in this instance, the movie should have shown us a scene where M and OJ have a discussion about this topic, about how to convince people that the alien is real, and why their method of obtaining evidence is different and more effective than what has been previously tried. Also, I understand that OJ is supposed to be a stoic character, but I do think there was a noticeable lack of grief in the character throughout the film, especially since his father just died in the opening act. The movie shows certain parts of him and his father interacting in the past, but I don't really get the sense that he's really that affected by his father's death. In the first scene in the hospital, you see him and how he feels about the situation, but afterwards it's never referenced ever again. I just find it odd that if such a central figure in OJ's life passes away and he's never referred to after the next day, I just think it's out of lockstep with the character. And if OJ had some sort of issue with his father, which this movie doesn't indicate that they do, but the movie does indicate some drama between M and her father. And I think that would have been something really interesting to explore, that how the different dynamics that OJ and M had with their father shaped them into who they are today. Now, I know what some of you will say. I know some of you will say that the whole reason they're even going after this alien is because his father died, which I totally understand. But I still believe that the film should have still taken the opportunity to further explore the tension that was lying underneath between OJ and M. The film has a scene that sets up well without too much dialogue, that there is a little bit of favoritism from the father towards OJ. It is clear that the father sees OJ as a reflection of himself. I mean, they even have the same first name. And we see the extensive time and effort he puts into training OJ to be a good rancher, so that eventually one day he can take over the family business. But in the process of training OJ, we clearly see that M feels neglected by her father and that she wants to be in on the action as well. Now, my feelings towards how the movie handles this is that the tension is always there and noticeable, but it never really bubbles to the surface, and I feel like the movie really needed that extra push, ultimately to add more drama to the story, but also to enrich the characters of M and OJ and give them a more satisfying character journey. Now, a big part of this movie's storyline is dedicated to exploring the background of Stephen Young's character, Ricky Park. So Ricky started out as a child actor on MTV. He had to do one take where they brought in the MTV mascot, which is a chimpanzee, and that chimpanzee just went apeshit and started killing everyone. Now, Ricky happened to be the last survivor of that incident, which definitely scarred him for life. When I first watched the movie and the movie ended, my first question was, what is the relevance of this scene? This scene was just thrown in there and it doesn't really affect anything in the plot. But upon watching other people's movie reviews and thinking about it more over time, I see now that that scene serves more of a metaphorical purpose rather than a logical purpose. The point of the scene, at least to me, is to show how We have become such an attention-obsessed culture, and I think the animals in this movie, the chimpanzees, the horses, and the aliens, serve as a metaphor to show that our obsession with always wanting to see every detail of everything can distract us from the real issues of the day. Now, my issue with the chimpanzee scene is that it doesn't really have any impact on the story. I mean, sure, the meaning of the chimpanzee scene and its metaphors and themes are in line with what the movie is trying to say, but the scene needs to make sense in the context of the story itself. For me, if a scene can be fully cut out of a movie and it does not materially impact the story at all, then I say cut out the scene. I'd say it's a useless scene. Now, don't get me wrong. The chimpanzee attack scene was really well made, really well directed, really well acted, and very tense. But it just does not add anything to the movie when you really think about it. I think that the movie would have fared better if the chimpanzee incident was not squeezed into the narrative. Cutting out that scene would have improved the pacing of the film, and it would have kept the focus on OJ, M, and their struggle with the alien. Now, overall, I think Nope is a solid effort from director Jordan Peele, and I think he is on a roll. He has made 3 great movies that I really like, and even though the movie is flawed in many ways, I do respect the creative vision of Jordan Peele and the fact that he was able to shoot this on IMAX film cameras with a big budget, and I also respect the meanings and themes that he was trying to explore with this storyline. Overall, I'd say that this movie is not as good as Get Out, but I'd say it's slightly better than Us in my opinion, and I think I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10. Alright, I want to thank you guys again for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and since my channel is still relatively tiny, please feel free to leave your thoughts below. I'd love to discuss with you guys on what we either agree or disagree on. Thanks again for watching, guys, and have a wonderful day.